Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
It's the show that has been marked Return to Cinder. We're the audience of one show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcast from. I am Andrew, next to the guy who likes a girl who's a bit of a heel snapper. It's Dick Lock-in Schisler.
What's up?
Snap, snap.
No, I do definitely enjoy heel snapper. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yes, that was great. Last week's show. A little teaser.
Yeah.
For those of y'all that didn't see it or hear it,
well,
check it out.
We're almost to the end of March.
Yeah, man. It's here.
It's
crazy.
It went by really fast for me.
It is, and before long, the weather's going to start getting nasty. It's that period where it starts to get humid, and it's just a painful reminder that summer is going to be here before you know it. We're in that sweet spot right now where it's just so nice.
Yeah.
Not for long.
Did you enjoy your weekend with the nice weather?
Yeah, I did some springtime cleaning outside and power washed things. Cleaned off the patio furniture.
What a dad.
Oh, my God. It's homeowner stuff, you know.
I finally had crawfish. They were delicious.
Yeah? Nice.
And then...
Did you pay like $12 a pound? Or
No, I think it was like $7 a pound.
Oh, wow, okay, so they're starting to finally come down here a little bit more.
Well, the place we go to is probably the best place in Montgomery County. It's called Best in Town.
Yeah.
And
I think they're a sponsor as much as you've talked about
Well,
it.
I mean, it's funny to me because crawfish is a big deal to a lot of people.
It is.
And then I'm amazed when people go to like Pacific Yard House or something to get crawfish. And I'm like, why would I pay $13 a pound?
Shout out to Pacific Yard House, by the way. We love you.
No, well, I mean, it's more of like the presentation.
They're not a crawfish
like this
place.
I know, but it's like you're charging that much for crawfish, guys. Like, come on, like
it's the ambiance. You're paying for the stage up there, and
that this guy at Best in Town gets it. BYOB,
right?
And he makes whatever you want him to like put into the bucket. He's like, yeah, just tell me what you want, and they charge you one rate, and I like that.
Nice.
There's no nickel and diamond.
That's right.
And then what I like is he does different flavors by the pound. So if you want like spicy garlic, you want extra spicy, you want regular, he'll do it a special way. Because I get the bomb. You ever heard of the bomb?
Yeah, you've talked about it before. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. That's always the last pound, and so you have to make that separate because that'll screw everything up.
It'll make it too spicy.
But it was good. Yeah. So I'm glad crawfish is back. And
it's back, baby. It's back.
I love crawfish.
Yeah, I do too. They're nasty, but they taste so good.
Yeah, especially.
I try not to think about exactly what they are and where they live and how they live.
I mean, you should think about that about everything that's made.
I try not to. If it's tasty, I just try and pretend that it just came that way. Tasty on my plate.
I mean, that's up to you, but I mean, everything's a little mixed in with everything, so.
Indeed it is. And, speaking of mixed in with everything, after the show last week, you had a very interesting story that you told me about an encounter that you had at South by Southwest. And I said, Dick, you have got to tell this story on the air.
Amazingly enough,
it's funny.
I had 0 encounters with homeless like for the first week and a half,
which is surprising in a downtown urban environment,
especially
of
Austin.
Any size. Yeah,
Austin, they kind of like don't care what you do. There were certain corners that like you could clearly tell they didn't care, and they were just living on like you had to walk over them. But there was an encounter that was very humorous to me. So at these festivals, everything's timed very close to one another. So you're basically running from point A to point B. And I got food between point A and point B, and it was like a little noodle bowl.
Nice.
And it had a cover, and I was like, oh, great, I can just eat in line because you can't bring outside food or drinks into the venues.
In line you're waiting to get into a venue.
For the next deal.
Okay, sure. So I'm trying to picture you here, standing in line, holding your little pho noodle bowl or whatever.
I'm scarfing it down because we got about 5 minutes, so are they going to start loading us in? And I'm like, I can't just like save this. So I'm just scarfing it down. And what was great was where they placed the line, there was like a loading ledge to our left. So I'm on the lower end, and so like the ledge is to my arm. So like I can put my arm rest on it to the ledge. And I'm sitting there just eating, and almost like out of like a scary movie, fantasy movie or whatever. This creepy lady comes over and squats next to me,
and she's up on the ledge
she's
above
on
you.
the ledge
so
above
she's
me,
basically perched, looking down on you.
at me, and at my shoulders. Basically, her knee is at my shoulder,
Okay.
and she has like that voice, and she goes, "You got any beans?" And I was sitting there going like, "What the hell?" And there's a lot of people around me, and I'm just like, oh, "These aren't beans, it's my food." And I'm like trying to eat. I'm just trying to get it down. And then finally, she started bothering me about it. She's like, "Those are my beans," and I was like, "Those, no." And so I was like, and after I ate as much as I could, I closed it. And I'm like, I go, "Is everything okay with you?" And then she slaps it out of my hands. And it falls with the lid on upside down. And I kid you not, within like a second, she leaps down like a frog, lands on him with her feet, like her feet are perched on the bowl. She reaches down and she's like, "They're my beans." And then she runs off like with my food.
You said it was very My Precious
Oh,
Gollum-like.
like I was sitting there because that's all she was talking about was beans. They're my beans.
My precious beans.
So I was sitting there. Everyone was like, "Are you okay, man? Did she hit you?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know. I probably got cut, whatever." I was sitting there going like, "I have no idea what happened."
That is so
and
funny.
and what's funny is like, "Do you want us to do anything about it?" I'm like, to be honest, I bet she's gonna be really upset when she gets to her cave.
Those are the worst beans I've ever had.
because they're not beans at all. And but yeah, that was a surreal
Did you say
moment.
to her cave.
Well, I mean, like the weight. I mean, she was crouched down the whole time. Like I didn't see her stand up one time because she was crouched the entire time talking to me, and then she leaped down, grabbed it, it's like my beans, and she like ran off. And I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
I love it.
And what I love is, especially with the homeless scenarios around town, like everyone was like, "Oh man, I've never seen anyone be that aggressive," and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I saw a naked dude." Like not too long ago. That's pretty aggressive, like just to have your dong out.
Yeah, that is.
So I guess we have different versions of aggression.
Yeah, I worked in a downtown environment for years, and I had to deal with homeless people of varying sorts. And there was one guy called the FU guy, because he'd walk around and ask you for cash, and the moment you said no, he would yell "FU" right at your face.
That happens all the time.
And I'm like, you're not really fostering an environment for giving here, sir.
Yeah.
You could say,
Yeah.
"Thank you, God bless," and move on, and maybe next time I see you. But now I'm going to remember you're the FU guy.
Did I ever tell you? Because I don't think you ever saw. Did you ever see the old studio?
Only in pictures.
Only in
No, we
pictures,
started
okay.
the show right after
So,
the studio.
If people
went up.
didn't know, we had an older studio, and that was like on the main street, and we had a bench in
Right out
front of the
front.
windows. So
Correct.
we had these huge windows you could see outside. We had a speaker system, so we'd always have people gather around early in the mornings.
Sure,
like,
so they
there
can come
no-
and listen to you guys
Numerous
broadcast.
times I found homeless people just hanging out on the bench and I'm getting there at 6
Sure.
a.m. or whatever. Well, this one time we're sitting there and this guy who, I mean, he looked homeless. He sat on the bench and he just didn't move. And so for an hour to 2 hours, I'm sitting there, we're DJing shows, and I could see him just like sitting right there facing away from me on the bench.
He was a fan.
Well, next thing I know, in the middle of a show, an ambulance shows up, and then, like a police officer shows up, and then they like, approach this guy as if he has like a bomb. It was really weird.
Uh-oh.
And I guess someone called it in, and he like passed out. I had no idea he was passed out because I couldn't see his face. Well, they start like treating him with all the noise and everything
While you guys are
while
on
we're
air.
on the air.
Awesome.
And I was like, how can we not watch this guy? It's like, and the speaker system's outside, and people are like, is this guy okay? Is this guy okay? And the officers can like hear us. Just
Oh, yeah, because the speakers broadcasting outside.
It was
yeah.
pretty funny. And but yeah, they literally treated him right then and there, woke his butt up, and then they got him up and they put him on a gurney and they took him away, and like all within like
Wow.
40 minutes of just watching the show in front of the studio. So
Interesting.
and then somehow all the homeless people disappeared. I don't know what.
Yeah, they're gone. I don't see any down
I
there.
don't know what city council did.
Magically disappeared.
Well, I mean, it's so funny to me, like the rotation of those feelings certain towns have, like especially during like South by Southwest, they have to clean. Like remember when the Super Bowl was in down?
Sure.
They swept the city, and I don't know what they're doing now, but yeah, downtown used to be really bad, but they also downtown allowed it, especially here because there were several like Salvation Army, the Chop House, all these services that they could use. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, especially if you're following that calling to help homeless people is you're only dealing with those people 3 or 4 hours out of the day.
Right.
So they're going somewhere else for those 4 hours, and usually it's defecating on some guy's front door over here. Like that happened several times. It was crazy. There's some great stories because being downtown, I was always downtown.
Sure.
There's some funny stories, man.
I bet.
So
well, we're nice and safe here now inside of City Hall. I had some.
I saw a guy with a machete one time. That was great.
Great.
Well, he's outside the studio, dancing to music, and he like raises his
like
hand.
Britney Spears style.
Yeah, he's like like that.
Wow.
And you could see under his jacket, he had a machete on a string.
That's nice.
And his arm over his the coat was over it. And I was like, that guy's a machete.
It's a good thing we're behind a lock here.
I locked the doors and I texted everyone that was coming in within the next 30 minutes, like, hey, if you see this guy, looks like this, I would
avoid machete
him.
guy.
Yeah. And then I texted the local Richard, the guy, the bicycle cop.
Yeah. So. Machete is a really cool word, by the way.
It is. No, and
I just like to say it
sometimes.
I
mean, what I love is that guy probably wasn't kind of like going to hurt anybody. I think it was a defensive weapon, knowing him.
Yeah.
Because the way it was set up, I was like, oh, shoot. But yeah, there we go. That's why you should carry in the state of Texas.
Cool, man. Cool.
But did you have a good weekend besides power washing? I know March Madness is going on.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that. I'll keep up with it, but I'm not going to be glued to it. It's just not my thing. Maybe when I was younger, but not so much anymore.
What is your thing?
This right here.
The Dallas Cowboys? Because you're wearing a Cowboys hat.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I don't know. Just, everyone
Radio,
has a
it's my thing, man.
I love it, man.
Yeah, broadcasting with you, it's my thing.
It's your thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you liked my homeless story.
I did. It was
very,
great. Thank you for telling
entertaining.
it. All right, man, let's kick this show off the right way.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
I say that every time. Yeah! Oh, man. Hey, do you remember... I said the right way. All right, stop. We have to start the show over now.
Let's go.
Do you remember the Magic Eye pictures from the 90s? And when I say Magic Eye pictures, that's what I think their formal name was. But these were the pictures that had the hidden image in them.
I thought that was the 3D pictures.
Well, yeah, Magic Eye 3D pictures, whatever. But at first glance, you couldn't see anything. It just looked like a series of dots and lines and red and blue, green color, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you stared at it long enough, the image would appear behind it, and it was always a 3D, Those were everywhere in the 90s, man. They were so popular. Were you ever able to see those?
Of course.
Rather easy? Of course. So you were that guy. So I didn't see the image very often. Like every now and again,
it's almost like you have to go cross-eyed.
So yeah, and
it's almost like you have to do that.
And the people that could see the images always annoyed the hell out of me because they'd say, "Oh, bro, you can't see that? Just relax your eyes, man.
I always described it like,
what do you think I'm doing?"
Yeah, I mean, you don't have the third eye.
And the longer it would go on, the more frustrated, I'd become. But then every now and again, when I would see one, I'd be like, oh, I see a unicorn. But then it would go away, know? Oh,
they're
so
fun,
frustrating. But they were everywhere. They were like on the back of cereal boxes.
Yeah.
But apparently, I looked this up, the history of these things. It goes all the way back to 1828, basically.
Dang.
When English physicist Sir Charles Wheatstone invented a device called the stereoscope that could merge two images together to create the illusion. It's an illusion of depth.
Michael.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever seen Arrested Development.
Oh yeah, I've seen episodes.
It's an illusion, Michael.
It's an illusion.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, no, I actually, honestly, when they disappeared, I guess quotes disappeared, I thought it was because they discovered it ruined people's eyesights.
I mean, it can't be good on your eye.
So I was
especially
like,
if you're saying you have to go cross-eyed. That can't be
like
good.
the feeling with I'm talking about the feeling.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it. It's like because you can. I don't like going cross-eyed, but I can do it, and you don't like it.
Yeah, and I can just remember the images of people just staring blankly ahead at these pictures, trying to get the image to come out, and then of course the guys like you would walk by and just go, "Oh, yep, I see it, unicorn," and move on. You're like, "No, dang it, I can't see it." It was always very frustrating.
Hey, I bet your childhood was terrible.
That was wonderful.
Couldn't see
it was
anything.
wonderful without the magic eye illusions.
Couldn't see anything.
Every now and again, man. Every now and again, I'd be able to see them, but I guess it really depends on the type of illusion too, because some of them are done in different ways. I think there's different versions of it.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, but apparently that guy who invented it, I don't even remember his name here. It's in this article. Made buku bucks on it. Basically, when I say invented it, put it into mass production and made books and things like this.
Yeah.
In the 90s. Man.
Wouldn't that be an interesting party conversation? How did you make your bukus
Yes, I made the 3D images.
that Andrew couldn't see? Only losers couldn't see it.
Hey, look, if you're on this side of the equation, it was very frustrating. You just don't understand.
Yeah,
You just
that's
don't
why
understand.
the CIA never approached you to be in the CIA, because you can't see things.
It's true. It's true. I can only see what's in front of my very own eyes.
Yeah.
Dick, when is the last time, and you were in Austin, so the odds are, could have been very recently, when is the last time you saw somebody with a mohawk?
Ooh, yeah, I did see a lot of people with mohawks in Austin.
Did you really?
Yeah, a lot of band people. And
Okay, so
like,
there's-
what's your definition of mohawk?
Well,
Like, does it have to be pointy, or is it just shaved? It's your head's shaved on the sides,
Yeah.
and it has like a form. I'm not talking like the mullet. I'm
yeah,
talking
no,
like,
I tend to think of a mohawk has to be pointy.
okay. Well, I
But-
count a mohawk where it's like 2 inches
Yeah, but
wide in the center, and everything else is shaved.
Yeah, I
So
think
it
that's
could-
technically a mohawk, too.
So I saw a lot of those. I didn't see any real like
Tall ones.
pointy, greasy ones that
Yeah,
they put the stuff in.
Those used to be pretty popular, right? Again, back in the 90s. I would
Yeah.
think I see them more often, but I was trying to think of the last time I saw somebody rocking a mohawk, and it's been a while.
Well, they're impractical, so that's probably why.
Because you can't really put your shirt on.
You can't do anything.
It's like once you get that thing there,
Yeah, I mean, I think people
can't go swimming.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hipster enough anymore. It's
Well,
not
the
punk
mohawk,
rock.
the mohawk is also referred to as a Mohican, or is it Mohican? I don't know.
You mean like the Indian, the Native
Yeah,
American tribe?
Yeah. It's a hairstyle in which most common variety, both sides of the head are shaven, leaving a strip of noticeably longer hair in the center. The mohawk hairstyles have existed for thousands of years. But apparently back in, quote, the day, they would actually pluck the hair out from the side of their heads rather than shaving it.
Okay.
Ooh, did you know that the world record for the tallest mohawk goes to Joseph Griesemore? Griesemore, really? You just got through saying it had a lot of grease in it, so I thought that was funny. But it was 3 feet 6 1/2 inch tall mohawk,
The hell?
and he used no product. Just stood that way on
That's
its own.
awesome.
No,
That
I
mean-
don't know.
that
I didn't
means-
say that.
That means he's born for greatness.
I'm sure. Can you imagine the amount of product in there?
I bet he could see the images. And the, I bet he could.
Yes, the hair gods shine down upon thee. I did think there was like a trend maybe 10 years ago. It seemed like it was mostly white suburban people
Yeah.
were shaving their little 5 to 10-year-old boys with mohawks. That seems to be the last time I remember it. And they thought, oh, it's so cute. And look, we're hip because we gave our son a mohawk
I like it.
in the summer. Yeah, I don't care. I'm just saying it seemed like that was a trend. And that's probably the last time I saw a mohawk from what I can remember.
You just don't get out enough, man.
I guess I don't, but it seems like when I was in college and going to Austin more often, I would see it. So that's why I thought I would
Yeah.
bring it back
It
up.
also depends
en
on where you
masse.
go. Like if you go to Houston, there's probably punk
Punk
areas.
bands. Yeah, it's probably still popular with the punk bands, huh? Did you
Because
ever-
I also think you can now get a haircut that looks normal, but then you can do it into a mohawk.
Yeah, did you ever do that when you were a kid in the shower? Get your
Well,
hair
yeah,
wet
of
and
course.
right, with the soap and everything? Yeah. What little kid didn't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
could probably do it now.
I'd love to see that next week, please.
Probably do it now.
Dick with the mohawk would be next level. Of course, you couldn't do it too tall because your hair is getting kind of high. Would hit the roof of your...
Oh, it just depends how much grease I have in a tub.
That's true. That is true. I don't know if you heard about this story. This is pretty interesting. I know we talk about air travel quite not exclusively,
Well,
but
you're the
extensively.
world traveler. I'm not.
Yeah, I travel some. But this man from Texas apparently was arrested last week on a Delta flight when he was trying to stow away. And you might think, okay, well, that's not necessarily new. People have probably done that in various ways over the
Yeah.
years. But what was different about this one was he took pictures with his phone of other people's boarding passes. So, like, imagine this. Everyone's standing in line
Yeah, I know
waiting
what
to
you're
go
talking
in.
about.
They got their phone out. He looks over, angles his phone,
Yeah.
takes a photo, gets in line in front of these people, and goes in. Okay?
I mean, I'm all for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. This guy's name is, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Wycliffe is his first name. That's a pretty solid name, but I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name. But it basically, the footage shows him going in, and he immediately goes to the back of the plane and tries to open up one of the exit doors.
So he does get in.
He gets in. So he gets in, and behind him, unbeknownst to him, the girl, it was a 13-year-old girl that he took the picture of. It beeps and says, you've already entered, and there was some hubbub. She's like, well, obviously not. They let her go in. She goes to her seat. Well, he immediately goes to the back of the plane and tries to open one of the exit doors. I guess he's looking for the cargo area. And one of the stewardesses says, hey, what are you doing? I'm looking for the restroom. She goes, well, the restroom's up there, So he goes and gets in the restroom. They said he was in the restroom for a, quote, exceptionally long period of time. Comes out and then goes all the way to the back of the plane and gets in that bathroom for an exceptionally long period of time.
Oh, I like that. So have they taken off yet?
No,
Okay.
They haven't taken off. So finally when he comes out, the stewardesses notice, or flight attendants, I suppose is the common word of the day.
The worker bee.
Yeah, said, sir, what are you doing? All the seats were taken. There were no open seats. I guess he was hoping that maybe if he waited around long enough, there'd be an open seat and he could just sit in it, I guess. And he got busted.
Let me ask you
greeted by
something.
cops out at the front.
And I don't know too much about how airports work, but I remember the last time I was there were rules about getting access to the gate areas that you actually had to have your.
So he had a ticket to a later flight.
Okay.
And apparently he was trying to get home sooner from his ski vacation.
What an idiot.
So he's like, I can just look up, here's a flight to where I need to go. It's a little sooner, maybe a few hours, so I'm just going to scan my pass. Yeah, he's facing some time, though, I think. You don't mess around with that type of the FAA and all that stuff.
like it.
You don't mess around. Yes.
What an idiot.
Staying on this theme of air travel, the Eclipse is coming up. I know we've talked about that. I think it's next week.
I got my glasses right here.
Oh, yeah. Are you planning on traveling to the path of totality?
To the moon?
No. You stay here for that.
Oh. I want to see the eclipse from the other side.
Oh my God.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, it's like pitch black, isn't it?
It's great.
Yeah, I've put those on before. Actually,
I'm just gonna rock it for the rest of the show.
Those are some pretty cool looking.
Yeah, so Remnant Stew.
That's what I say. It looks like their logo.
They used to
Shout out
air their
Remnant
show.
Stew.
Yeah, they used to air their show here on Lone Star, and then they took a break, and now they're coming back. And to announce their comeback, I guess they're talking about the Eclipse for I think it's like their second or third new episode, and they're giving out these for free. So if you want free glasses like this, just look up Remnant Stew.
I do.
I'll give them a shout out. Let's see if they have the website on here. Let's see, remnantstew.com. That's REMNANTSTEW.com. Remnant Stew. What?
Nothing. I just love how you're attempting to read that with glasses on that you can't see through. It's
I
really
can't
funny.
see anything, man.
So anyways, apparently during the eclipse, there has been an increase in demand for air travel along the path of the eclipse
See, that's kinda
for
cool.
people who want to see the eclipse from the air. And I don't know, man, because to me, I'm picturing a regular airplane. You can't really see very well outside of those little windows, and really all it's going to look like is dark, isn't it? I
have no idea how
but
physics
especially
works.
flights that are traveling or originating from Chicago coming here into Texas are just booked, jam-packed. And then so some of these private airliners are going for as much as $8,000 an hour for people who are wanting to see the eclipse from the air. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
You know who I would love to talk to about this kind of stuff with is an actual expert in the field, because I always feel like every other year they go, oh, hey, we have this shooting star or we have a eclipse once in a lifetime. And I'm thinking, like, why do I feel like this is happening more than once in a lifetime? And I'm not really into this kind of stuff. So when someone says eclipse or total eclipse or solar eclipse, I'm like, all right, how many eclipses are there? And is this the biggest one? Because every time it's the big one.
Well, this one is big because it happens to take place right here or close to where we live.
Okay,
right? We're in
so
the path of totality.
next year when the next eclipse happens,
Not
I
next
could travel to
year.
Africa or something and get the cool experience.
So I'll cover something here in a little bit, but the last one that occurred was in 2017, and the path of totality covered just parts of the very eastern part of the United States, like South Carolina.
But where's the actual ideal spot?
So they're saying that some of the best spots are indeed right here in Texas, Fort Worth, Central Texas, San Antonio, because the total darkness time is like 4 minutes.
That's cool.
By the time you get up to Chicago, it might be 2 minutes. So I guess what these people are doing in an airplane is they're attempting to basically get a longer version of the eclipse if you're traveling. Because, Dick, I don't know if you're aware, the moon travels a little bit faster than an airplane does, right? So
Maybe.
Dick, do you know how fast the moon travels, by the way?
Well, it depends on what plane you're in. I imagine there's a fast plane.
Yes, not this fast, though. Would you like to take a guess at how fast the moon moves around the Earth?
I would say 750 miles an hour. That's
in a school zone. No, buddy. 2,200 miles an hour. Your average airplane probably going to be flying 400 or 500.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to stay with it the entire time, but you're certainly going to take a 4-minute.
Unless you're in a cool jet.
Right. Right. But then it's not really a passenger jet, and they probably wouldn't have any windows for you to see it. But I just thought that was pretty neat, man. I think I would want to see this from the ground. And my parents live in an area that is along this path, and I would like to travel and see this, but they said, stay away. It's crazy. The amount of people that are going to be coming into these small cities, a lot of these cities are likely going to double in size.
UFO
Some of these
sightings are
I
going to
think
be
it
so
was,
awesome.
There was a county here in Texas that just declared a state of emergency preemptively, which allows them to handle, a large influx of people for this stuff. Yeah, if you figure you've got 100,000 people in your city and all of a sudden it swells to 200,000 or 300,000.
Illegal immigration's getting out of control, dude.
Don't think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Get out of our town.
But I think I'd like to just see it from the ground.
What I love about that is you have this influx of, you're probably like, quadrupling the actual population size of a city, and it's just for 4 minutes.
Yeah, 4.5.
So after 4.5 minutes, like, well, I guess we got to go.
That's the complete darkness. But, the what they're calling the total eclipse.
The solar heads?
Yeah, it lasts for several hours when you start to see some of the darkness happening.
Heads. What do you want to? What's the nickname for them? Solar. I like solar heads.
Solar heads, sure.
Okay,
sounds good. But like the whole event is probably several hours long. But just the total darkness, is like a couple of minutes. But so I have this related story which I thought was pretty cool. But apparently animals go crazy during this thing because they don't know what's going on. They're much like...
Well, if you would have told me this is like the one time a certain animal mates, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, yeah, they get it on during this time?
Like, it's the only thing, like, this is some type of snail, and it only mates during
Yeah,
whatever.
No, that would not surprise me at all. But, animals don't know what's going on. Kind of like, people thousands of years ago had no idea what was going on. Can you imagine? In the middle of the day, it just gets dark for a few minutes. But what's interesting is back in 2017, the last total eclipse that I told you about. Yeah. The Nashville
it's still
Zoo,
scary to me now.
Yeah, it is. The Nashville Zoo observed some really interesting things with their animals, especially amongst the giraffe. Because giraffes are very, very delicate animals and don't tend to run unless they're being chased by prey. And they started going nuts and running, going wild.
I like it.
So this
year,
year,
they hit anything?
Just wildly slamming into things.
Yeah,
yeah, like a dog with the zoomies. So
I wonder
this
if anyone's
year,
ever clotheslined a giraffe.
It would be your odds are a lot better than with some other animals, right?
I
like
think
with a hippo.
That would be kind of fun.
Can you find a hippo's neck? Probably a lot harder than a giraffe, I would assume.
Well, if they're swimming all the time, I would never get in the water with a hippo.
No, man, those things are vicious.
If I died by one though, that'd be pretty tight.
Yeah, that'd be a good story on your headstone.
Yeah,
died by hippo.
Yeah, I tried to wrestle a hippo.
Well, the zoologists in the Fort Worth Zoo are now encouraging folks because that's, again, Fort Worth is in the path of totality, to go out and observe their own animals. And they're going to be observing animals at the Fort Worth Zoo as well to see what type of unusual behavior that they may exhibit. But they're saying, hey, everybody, go outside, observe your dogs, your cats, the neighborhood animals. You could, you know what? You could observe that rat, Harold, in your car, see how he reacts to the solar eclipse.
No, I think Harold's dead. I made sure.
You think he finally passed? You finally fed him enough poison?
I really hope so. That punk.
Yes, it says they want you to look at pigeons, squirrels, mountain ecosystems, woodland critters, farms with livestock, and more.
I like it.
So yeah, that would be fun. But again, we're not in the path.
I'm surprised there's not like some social media thing saying the purge is happening during the eclipse.
The Purge?
The Purge. You ever seen that movie?
No, I don't think I have.
You never seen The Purge?
I don't think so.
It's one of those silly
sci-fi weirdo
movies where it's like a one day out of the year, I think, or maybe there's another time, but it's basically you can get away with anything
so like
for
that's like
12 hours.
Romspringer, right?
Yeah, but you can like murder, like it's like that kind of thing.
Oh, you know what? I think I've either heard of this concept or I've heard of this movie. Oh boy.
Get on TikTok, like, you know The Purge is happening.
be sweet.
Is it April 4th? When's the eclipse?
Yeah, 4th or 8th?
Something like
I don't
that.
remember.
Whenever it gets dark.
Yeah. You'll figure it out when you go outside and it's dark. Dick, I know that you got your new Cyber truck, and I thought I would ask you, does it come with an automatic starter? You know, where you can start it from your key fob? Yeah.
It's terrible.
You don't like that?
Well, there's certain things about the truck that I don't understand. And, like, for example, when I auto start it, it always cranks everything up full blast. Like,
right.
But it also does the heating stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of it, and that's why I was going to ask. Because
but, like, why would I want my AC on?
When it's hot outside, you can start that and cool the car down.
So even if it's hot outside, it still turns on my heated seats and my heating steering wheel.
No, it shouldn't. It does.
No. Because I've been
send it back.
I've been messing around with it. I was like, is there a way I could tell it, hey?
So the way I think it works, there's probably a couple of different ways. Either your car recognizes the temperature outside and says, oh, it's cold, I need to put the heater on. Oh, it's hot, I need to put the AC on.
That's a problem being in Texas. It's both.
Or it will just pick up whatever your last setting is. So if you turn the heat, it'll turn the heat on.
Okay, what about the auto start?
Well, what's interesting about it is now that it's starting to get warm, I'm using that auto start function a little bit more often, or at least I will be, to cool the car down. Did you know that idling your car is illegal?
In Texas?
In Texas. And in fact, in most states.
I believe it.
It's a misdemeanor. Yeah, and of course, it's all about environmental stuff. But
well, diesel trucks, I imagine.
Yeah, and I think some of your really cold climates will allow certain cars to idle for a certain amount of time. But here in the great state of Texas, we are not allowed to idle our cars. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Although, how are they going to enforce that, right? And I think a law is really only as good as its ability to be enforced. And the cops probably aren't going to do anything.
One guy I met in Austin, I hit a F-250, parked it always in the same spot because I see him every morning. And he would leave. One time he left his car idle, and then when I came back around for lunch, and it was still on, and I was like,
"Yeah, no,
I gotta tell this guy his car's on."
Cuff him and stuff him, man.
So I go, "Hey, your car's on." He's like, "Yeah, I leave it on for my dog."
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, "You're leaving your dog in the car?"
And Tesla has a pet
all
mode.
Day.
Yeah, that's not good either.
Well, I mean, he was taken out for walks and stuff, but it was like he had to do something right there. So he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't."
Well, it says penalties vary from state to state, but in Washington, D.C., for example, you can get fined $5,000 if your car is sitting around for just 3 minutes. Other states, like I said earlier, the more colder states, like Pennsylvania, the law allows you to idle your car for up to 20 minutes if the temperature is below 40 degrees. But here in Texas, don't you be idling. Just a word to the wise. Hey, that's the AOO Law Legal Minute. All right, man, that's a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to discuss hailstorms.
Cool. Can't wait to get my new car damaged. Thank you.
Hey there, audience of one listener. We hope that you're enjoying the show. And if you are, and you like what you're hearing, tell a friend. In fact, make it awkward and demand that they like and share the show. Do whatever you can to ensure that this little experiment we call Audience of One continues to thrive and prosper. And if you're interested in sponsoring or donating to the show, you can do that as well through our show page at irlonestar.com/AOO.
All right, we are back with Audience of One here on Lone Star Community Radio, irlonestar.com/AOO. Email us anytime, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook that's active. And then, or just check out Lone Star Community Radio on YouTube and everything for our YouTube version, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And then don't forget, we're pretty much on every podcast, I feel like.
Pretty much, I would say.
And I don't care if we're not on yours. So just...
You talking about mine? Personally, you talking to me?
I'm talking about anybody that's like, I can't find it. I'm like, I don't care.
It's out there.
I don't
care.
Our
Facebook page is quite entertaining too.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
not
You
just. It's not just.
You're a magical person on the internet.
You think?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. I try and make it entertaining.
So like, one thing that's, I think I've told you this before. Over the years we've managed, I don't know, like 30 plus shows, and so I have all their Facebook stuff, and Facebook still hasn't figured out how I can turn everything. I just want to turn everything off. I don't care.
Right.
As long as it has something to do with Dig, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? And
so to speak.
And so I always see the Audience of One stuff, and I'm like, just churning butter over here on Audience of One's Facebook. I love it.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it's not just the show content, although we do post highlights and like 30-second to 1 minute highlights from the show. We'll also post the entire show. It's also memes and things that I find funny or musings. So,
Yeah, I love it. And
Yes.
so reach out, because I think everyone who is a listener of Audience of One should let Andrew know how wonderful he is.
oh, no, I don't need feedback. I don't need any of that. I don't need reassurance in that way.
Oh.
Although,
Sorry, I'm trying to help you.
if you are a follower of our Facebook page and you do like it, invite others to follow.
Yeah.
Share.
So what's up
So
for
I
the
had this-
second half,
So
man?
I had an observation in my neighborhood the other day,
Oh,
and
here we go.
I think this kind of happens anytime you live in one place for a certain length of time.
Okay.
And I'm coming up on 6 years in my neighborhood, and what happens is over time you see the different groups of kids grow up.
Yeah.
Right? And so when we first moved in, there were a group of kids probably 9, 10, 11, and they would get together and constantly playing outside, constantly. Well, now most of those kids, or all those kids, are teenagers, right? They don't play outside anymore, and they're probably upstairs on their phone or whatever. They all got driver's license, et cetera, right? So it's just not the same, and it kind of got quiet there for a while in the neighborhood. But what I've noticed now is the next crop, the next generation of kids that probably were toddlers when I moved in, or maybe a little older, are now 7, 8, 9 years old, and they're out playing in the street. And what I've noticed is any interaction with an adult is like just a transaction opportunity for them, because they're always trying to sell you something. It's whether it's a lemonade, whether it's cookies, whether it's homemade like tattoos or whatever, they are trying desperately to shake me down for cash.
No, it's amazing,
It is
especially
unreal.
with all the nieces and nephews I have.
Entrepreneurism is alive and well.
They constant ask for money, even with school fundraisers. And I always kind of like, I remember raising funds, but it was for like a cause. It's like I remember jump rope for heart.
Well, this is just them
that's
in the
for, like-
neighborhood getting together trying to sell something just amongst the kids. Like they're cookies. And, like, hey, they went inside in the kitchen, they cooked, made some cookies, and then they put a stand out front and said 25 cents, But it's constant. They
believe
do it a lot.
So are you going to put up a no solicitation
Right.
sign?
No, I'm usually a pretty good participant. I'm a good sport with it. I
Yeah,
do go
you're
over and get the little
weak.
temporary tattoos
You're
that they make.
weak.
Yeah, I am. I can't say no. I mean, look.
I would.
I'm a
I'd be
nice
like,
guy.
get the hell
Get
out
out
of
of
here.
here.
And I have a gun. And so when the parents come over, like, did you brandish a weapon in front of my kid?
Tried to sell me cookies. I
I'm
didn't
like,
want any.
Did your kid try to sell me pot brownies?
They were regular
They were
brownies.
just
I wanted
they were
pot
pot.
brownies.
I know pot brownies. Oh, it'd be so funny.
Man,
I love
yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah, no, they're great. I love my neighborhood, but it is just interesting how this newest crop seems to be
I really like
very
messing with neighbors.
opportunistic when it comes to selling me things. What's that? You like new neighbors?
I like messing with neighbors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In what way?
Just like
You got to be careful with some of your neighbors, as
That's true.
you
They're
talked about. You mess with some of them.
they'll actually pull the gun.
You mess with the bull, they'll get the horn. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh, I love it. No, I mean more of like I would have told that kid something
Hello.
really funny. Hopefully, he goes home and tells his dad. I'm like, "Is it your dad? Is that your mom or who's that other lady?" And he'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh man, screw with them.
I mean, there's so many opportunities, especially with the doorbell thing is hilarious to me these days because if the listener probably knows this, the onesie. Now everyone's like afraid of the doorbell,
Oh yeah.
and I love it. I love the doorbell.
I do not answer the door unless I know or I'm expecting somebody. There's
Yeah.
no point.
I love talking to people, and I love like my favorite.
You love
ones,
making it awkward. That's for sure.
No,
huh?
like so my favorite ones are the landscaping people, and they try to play off like, oh hey, I landscaped this place.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to do it again? And then they immediately, and I'm like, no, I landscaped it. It wasn't you.
Nice try though.
And they were like, well, we did the neighbor, and I'm like, oh, that's great. It sucked. That's why I do my own. And
If it was you that did that,
yeah.
but you got to be careful. We talked about that scheme a few weeks ago, months ago, whatever, where the tree trimmers will come to your house, your front door, and say, "Oh, let's go take a look in the back." And you walk around back, and you leave the front door open, and the next guy comes
No,
in.
that's
and
when you have your
robs
weapon
you
holster.
blind.
No.
Well, yeah, always be packing. That's,
You ever met anybody like that?
Oh, yes.
That always carrying on their hip?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There was this gentleman.
I know lots, several.
There was a gentleman we had on the radio on the old studio, and he'd always be packing. But the way I had our seats, there were these like bar type seats, and it would always hit his gun. Mm-hmm. So every time he'd come on the air,
Thud.
he'd put it on the table.
Yes, sir.
And what I love is people will walk by because we had the windows and be like, "What's this?
Whoa.
What's going on here?"
You know what I'm more impressed by? Not so much gun guy, because I think that's so common here. It's the guy who has the little knife around his ankle. Because that's
I've
like
never seen that.
that's like the last resort, man. That's tactical stuff. So like if someone happens to wrestle the gun out from underneath your hand or whatever, you got that little knife you can from your ankle.
I've never seen that,
guys. Those guys are the ones that are always looking over their shoulder.
Yeah.
They manage to find trouble.
But yeah, those are your neighbors.
Yeah, those are my
So it
neighbors.
depends
Those are
on
my
where you
people.
live.
You know what, knife guy on the ankle? You're my kind of people. I like you.
You know what neighborhood I visited the other week was that Woodlands Hills.
What were you doing over there? Seeing sus.
There was a networking thing going on over there.
Knocking on doors?
Yes, I'm just trying to make that money. Donate today. It was some networking thing, and Lori's been in the studio, the one who's kind of, I guess she's like the manager of the neighborhood, but it's owned by Howard Hughes, and that's where I'm trying to go with this.
Okay.
And so...
Oh, it's like the next Woodlands.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's
but
the same ownership.
in the north, in Willis. And so I was like, the first time I get to go see it, and I'm like, finally, Lori, I'm going to tell her that I got to see her neighborhood. And it's way too cookie cutter.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's, cookie cutter is not necessarily a bad term, but what's amazing to me is, you know how like certain neighborhoods, they always have a sign out in the front. You know what I'm talking about? Like it like says what the division is, the subdivision is,
like
or
Nude
whatever.
Beach.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, continue.
But they had one for every like street.
Wow,
It was weird
it's fancy.
because it's called Woodlands Hills.
Yeah,
But
okay.
when you're driving through it, like you go through Woodlands Hills, they had the same type of sign.
Yeah, well, the Woodlands has that. Every neighborhood has its own name. I don't even know the name of
Yeah,
mine.
but
to be
I
honest
thought the
with you.
neighborhood was
Can't
called
remember.
Woodlands Hills.
That's that's like the township, and then each separate neighborhood has like Sunset Hills or
Because I wanted to
Triangle
ask her,
Ridge or
I wanted to ask her. I
Meadowsbrook.
was like, "What's the price difference?" Because I feel like
And
that's
each one
that's
so-
the only reason you do that to tell me I didn't make enough money because I live in the lower end.
And they do try and group the each neighborhood might have a different price point. At least that's the way it was traditionally in the Woodlands.
I guess, but it's really nice. And that's one thing I learned that day was I didn't transfer all my car stuff, and I didn't have an umbrella, and I had to walk. I don't know, maybe like a block and a half to this thing. It was just pouring rain, and I was like the only one who didn't have an umbrella. You could tell who I was, the jackass. It's like walking in, just oh yeah, it's raining. But yeah, that's weird. That's kind of those neighborhoods weird me out. Do you live in one of those? I feel like you live in one of those, and that's why you're like,
No,
no, weirds me out.
I live in a cave.
Yeah.
Dick, what is the most annoying thing that people do in public, in your opinion?
Oh, probably the most annoying thing
And I've got mine.
is they stop.
Like if they're walking and
If
they'll
they're
just suddenly
walking
stop and you
and
slam up behind them.
Yeah, and it's
get
just
a
like
good
because we
feel.
talked about that in the grocery store, but in general public, it's like, oh, I got a phone call. I better stop what I'm doing
Right.
and answer the phone call.
So for me, it's kind of similar to that when you mentioned phone, but it's when people talk on the speaker phone in public.
Oh, I love it.
I don't get that. What is the fascination?
That's when see. This is when you have to have your go-to line about like hemorrhoids or something like that, because you're like, well, Harry, the hemorrhoid didn't fix itself, did it? And then like you just kind of say that right next to him, and then
Yeah, I had to sit through this. This was months ago of a lady who was just talking. It was almost like a business call, I think, and she was just talking. And what made me really think about this, because if you're the guy on the other end, do you know that you're on speaker? Maybe you don't want to be on speaker, and everybody can hear what you're saying. You know?
I'm honestly I'm
Very
kind of
strange.
surprised like iPhones
So
don't
annoying.
have that feature where they let you know you're on speaker.
Yeah, as soon as you click speakers, it'll pop up something on your phone that says you're now on speaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, and I just don't understand. Is it some sort of like level of narcissism where they want everybody to know, hey, I am using a cellular device here, everyone.
I do know
don't
there's
get it.
scenario does exist where the phone has a problem with the speaker, which I don't know why, but like you can't hear it, so they have to use the
Right.
speaker part of the phone to talk to anybody. I've had friends that have had that, like they drop their phone
Yeah.
in the water or something like that. But then again, it's temporary, I hope. But also, it's one of those things where I'm so self-conscious with my phone in a sense of like I've never taken it off vibrate.
Oh yeah,
like-
mine's all. I very rarely have,
so-
unless I'm expecting a call. I don't want to miss it. I'll turn the audio on, but mine's always on vibrate.
That's why I always carry these with me.
Yeah,
And like I won't even answer. Like if you call me, Andrew, like if you call me while I'm here, I won't answer the phone. I'll take my time, put the earbuds
And
in,
then call
make
back.
sure they're connected, and then by the time they're connected, I'm like answer.
that
and
is really weird.
Well, I just don't want to hold the phone.
So that's the one
And-
time I will excuse the
At least-
speaker.
at least I'm not
is if
always have
somebody
them in.
right? If somebody doesn't have like headphones and they need to have their hands free, I'll give you that. That's the one exception. But if you're just like walking through the store, I've literally seen people just holding the phone out in front of them, just talking, yelling.
Again, you got to have that line.
God,
so
annoying.
when you walk by him, like,
you know what I need to do?
Well,
is
Harry,
I need to do the same thing that homeless lady did to you. And walk up to him and goes, "Are those beans?"
Are
and
those
slap it,
no,
and then
my
slap the
beans.
phone. My beans.
Are those my beans?
Is that my phone? And slap the phone out of their hand.
No, don't do that. No, I'm saying you just go around them and you say something really loud, like, when I got it checked out, she said she was clean. And you just keep it ambiguous,
And the guy's like, "Why can't I hear people talk? Where are you,
Yeah.
Sally? What are you doing? Do you have me on speaker?"
Yeah.
Absolutely, Dick. Do you have a preference on soda, either out of a can or out of a bottle, or can you not really tell a difference?
I don't care.
No.
I mean, like,
I know you're not a details guy, so maybe this isn't the right question.
No,
maybe
I'm
you're
a
not
details guy.
the right person to ask.
No, I think it really comes down to, like, I don't drink a lot of soda, and that's not to boast about. It's just like I drink a lot of soda when it has whiskey in it. So if you ask me the question with your whiskey,
Do you pour it into the can?
no, I have not actually. I saw someone did that when I was. It wasn't this weekend; it was last weekend.
Sometimes if you don't have
And
a glass,
I saw that,
you know?
and I was like, "Dude, that's a powerful move."
Yeah, it's
'cause
pretty. Yeah.
I've always like go, "Hey, can I get a cup with the ice?" I love ice, so like,
So that was going to be my next one.
I gotta have the ice.
That was the
The
other
bottles are always seem more fizzier, if that's a term.
No, you're onto something.
But-
I have an article here from
But
allrecipes.com that discusses
the
this.
fountain version is always
Well, now you're kind of getting out a little bit further than the context of
the
this.
can. It's doable.
Because I know some people who go, "Man, I will not drink a soda out of a can. I've got to either take it out, it's either from a bottle, or I got to pour it over
Are you
ice."
talking about like where I put my lips?
Well, I mean,
'Cause I like-
in a way, yes, but no. I'm talking about more flavor.
Oh no, I'll never like. I would prefer. I wouldn't have a soda if I didn't have a cup of ice with it.
Okay. And is this a thing because you don't want your lips to touch the can, or is this because
No, I
you
just it won't-
find the
it-
taste better?
It's just tastes so much better with ice in a cup, but then it's like it's not worth it because
Okay,
they're so
well,
bad for you.
soda cans. Soda.
I mean,
hate calling it soda because
they
we're
are
in the
so
South.
bad for you, Andrew.
We're supposed to call it Coke, but soda from cans technically has a milder flavor, and the reason is soda cans are made from aluminum, and once the cans are assembled, the inside gets coated with a water-based polymer.
Yeah.
The polymer coating keeps the soda and aluminum molecules separate, protecting the can from corrosion.
Yeah.
Okay. But in plastic bottles, they don't have that same type of coating. It's a different type of coating to keep it, I guess, fresh. But the plastic bottles are slightly more permeable than the can, therefore they're not quite as fizzy, like you were just saying, which is pretty interesting. Plastic soda bottles don't get a polymer coating like the aluminum cans do, but another chemical in the bottle that can impact the soda flavor. So the best way, in my opinion, to enjoy a soda or a Coca-Cola is out of glass. That is by far the best because it is impermeable. They say that is the closest way to the way the manufacturers intended for it to taste is right out of the glass. Because as good as it is over ice, the ice will dilute it, right? And so I think over ice is good, but you got to drink it quick, right? Because if you let it sit, it ain't going to be no good.
I'm not drinking a 42-ounce Coke, dude. Unless
No?
it has a lot of Jack in it.
There it is with that Jack again.
I mean, I'll do that all day.
No, I do think that the sodas out of the glass bottle are the best. But there's science behind it. Because some people say, "Oh, this tastes terrible." I'm like, does it really? No. There is a difference.
Yeah.
And now you know. Now you know.
Well, it's kind of like beer. You should.
It's probably the same thing with beer.
You should have opened with the beer.
Yeah, but I drink it so fast, I don't really know.
Yeah. I don't really know, man. I don't care. As long as it's cold.
Yeah.
You ever drink beer with ice?
In a moment of desperation that I'm not proud of, yes.
It's weird. And like bringing beer through a straw, that's even weirder.
It's hard. It's hard to drink anything that's carbonated through a straw, but I have done that as well. Again, weird. You ever drank wine over ice?
Like the white wine.
Yeah. Not
That's
really.
fine with me.
Yeah. It dilutes it too, but again, in a moment of desperation.
Dilute.
Okay.
That's one thing I love when I meet people. Like I met a whiskey guy last week.
Hello.
And hey, whiskey guy.
Yeah.
And then I made a comment about like, oh, I'm just gonna get some Coke with it. And they're like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I really don't want to drink straight whiskey for my first drink. because like for my first the first drink you
Yeah.
have of the night, it's
Yeah.
like I'm not drinking straight whiskey because I don't like that.
But if somebody is, they're going for it.
Yeah, and he was like, well, that's
We're going hard
He
tonight.
goes like, that's gonna ruin the flavor. And I'm like, that's terrible, isn't it? And then so I was like, but I don't want to have whiskey as my first drink. I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah,
But I
got
could
you.
beer bong all day.
You got to ease into it, right? You
Yeah.
got to ease into your rage of alcohol-induced rage. Okay. As teased, hailstorms. Dick, are you?
Oh, that's right. We're gonna talk about hailstorms.
Are you a fan or do you fear the hailstorm?
I mean, I don't fear them at all. I think they're fun.
Yeah, so
But I think they're also extremely dangerous.
Yeah, there is something like apocalyptic about them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's frozen water falling from the sky, right?
Well, I can't imagine being an owner of anything expensive.
Right. It's the property damage.
And you're just sitting there going like, yeah, I probably should have built that carport just for this one,
This one-
2 hour, this one time every 5 years, 2 hour storm.
Right. Well, we don't get hailstorms down here in the Houston area nearly as bad as they do in North Texas. When I lived up there, it was a common occurrence for hailstorms to occur. And it got me to thinking, like, how is this not deadly? I mean, some of these things are large. And so I decided to do it and look it up, guys. In a 1942 British forest, no, yes.
What?
It says a British forest guard in Rupkund, India,
my
made an
gosh.
alarming discovery. Some 16,000 feet above sea level at the bottom of a small valley was a frozen lake absolutely full of skeletons. That summer, ice melted to reveal even more skeletal remains floating in the water and lying haphazardly around the edges of the lake. Obviously, they're thinking something terrible occurred here. They did a little research on the skeleton heads and determined that they had died from blows to the head and shoulders caused by blunt, round objects about the size of cricket balls. I guess this is written in, I guess this is a European rag. I don't know.
Well,
So apparently they're thinking these people were
This
traveling
is a terrible story.
all these years ago, and they were hit by an unexpected hailstorm, and it killed them. And I guess if there's no cover, like you said, a carport or a tree that you can get under, and you're not expecting this to happen, I guess it's possible.
They're about the same size as a baseball,
Okay.
but they're thicker, harder, and heavier.
Well, the last known fatality in the U.S. Happened in 2000 in Fort Worth, North Texas, when a 19-year-old boy named Juan Osigura
I'm sorry,
was
buddy.
hit in the head with a softball-sized hail. Yikes. It says it was falling at around 100 miles per hour and weighing as much as a pound. The force equivalent to someone throwing a mason brick at your head. And again, I see this, I'm thinking, how does this not happen more often? Because hail's pretty common, but I guess you're able to...
It sounds like you want it to happen.
No.
Well, let me tell you something, Andrew. When it hails, people don't just hang out outside.
Right. They tend to get in. Well, I go outside like a tornado. What's up? What's out there? And look up at the sky,
Yeah.
right? Would you like to know what the largest hailstone ever recorded was?
Volleyball size.
Oh, not bad. 7.5 inches, which is roughly the size of a bowling ball. In Kansas. Can you imagine? It was, hail. No, this one was in South Dakota. There was one slightly smaller than that in Kansas.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, weighing 1.93 pounds. But it ain't gonna do nothing to your Cybertruck. Those things, you can shoot at them, right?
I don't have a Cybertruck.
I know, it's just much more fun to think that you do, though.
Oh, I would love to have one.
I know you would. The things you would do. I did see, I don't know if it was AI generated or not, I did see crash tests of the Cybertruck, and boy, it looks a lot different than a normal car, that has crunch and crumble zones, and this thing just like bounces.
Oh, man.
It's brutal, man.
It's like you're going to have like internal bleeding just by the shake, just the force. It's like, I went through something. Because the car itself isn't absorbing anything. You're absorbing it all.
It looked nasty. At one point, I don't know, maybe at 35 miles an hour, the back tonneau cover comes flying off, and the bumper kind of sustained a little bit of damage, but that was it. I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
Can you
it's
imagine?
funny is I've encountered it since driving my truck. It is a hybrid, but so many people think you plug it in. And
It's a non-plug-in hybrid.
well, I mean, like, what hybrids are plug-in?
None. Right?
That's what I felt like.
Full electric are plug-ins. Hybrids
Yeah.
are gas and electric. So the electric is recharged while you're using gas. I believe that's how a hybrid works.
Well, I'm just like, is there actually maybe the listeners and onesies know is like there has to be a car out there that's really popular I've never seen before because everyone's like, oh, where do you plug it in?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not an electric car, it's a hybrid. Like, what? I know I don't know a lot about cars, but I don't think I've ever known a car where you had to plug it in and put gas in it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Good. So I thought I was going a little crazy there for a second. But yeah, I'm gonna drive that thing through hail. I mean, a new Twister movie's coming out. I might get inspired.
Twister 2.
Is it called Twister 2?
Son of Twister. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it is Twister 2. Why would it not be?
No, it's probably a reboot.
It's probably going to be terrible. The first one was pretty good, though.
Yeah. Did you see Roadhouse?
No.
You need to check it out.
The new one's already out?
Yeah, it's out. I think it came out the 24th. No.
It has Conor McGregor in it, man.
Dude, it was...
Come on.
Like, I'm a huge fan of the first one. Like, I encourage anybody, if you want to see cinema masterpiece, it's the first 30 minutes of the original Roadhouse, because it didn't really have Patrick Swayze in it yet, but it shows you all the riffraff at the Roadhouse, and it's just the dialogue they came up for these side actors, or whatever you want to call them, like the extras. It's over the top, and it's great. And but the new one, yeah, it was entertaining. I would definitely encourage, if you like action movies that are very simple and
right up your alley. Yeah. Simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
That's right.
That's the KISS approach.
That's right.
But yeah, did you ever see Dune? Did you ever see it?
Mm-mm.
What's wrong with you? Why am I the only cultured one here?
I don't know if seeing movies equals cultured necessarily, but
this got me a
you
topic.
can continue with that narrative if you want.
No, I want to ask you about this. So I saw a trailer, and I want to say it's called The Devil of Late Night.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that's called Late Night with the Devil. So the premise of the movie is there's a late night television show, and this guy invites a little girl on with her mom, and they claim that the little girl can, like, basically conjure the devil.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
And that's the whole premise of the movie. But it got me thinking when I saw it, because the trailer looked really cool, and I like this kind of premise because, it's late night television. He wants to shock the world to talk with the devil. And I'm thinking, there's got to be a history of why it's always little girls who are the devil.
It's the patriarchal, male-dominated society
that
makes little girls out to be the devil.
Well, I know there's some.
I don't know.
Well, you know what I'm talking about? It's always like the little kids, and it's always a little girl. It's sometimes a little boy.
I mean, Chucky was a boy.
But
I know he's a doll.
No, I'm talking about the devil. Like the Chucky was like a demon.
You're right. What was the movie where the girl's head spun around?
Yeah, and it's like it's always a little girl.
Not Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, was it Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that was. Well, I mean, demons too. I guess we can extend it to demons. But yeah, I was like, it's always just a little girl who is evil. Why? What are we trying to say? Because like, are girls like the most innocent things that are?
I think that's what it is. It's the juxtaposition of a sweet little girl with the devil. Makes it very.
That's why
it makes it off-putting.
Well, not enough movies do the grandma devils. There's a couple movies I've done.
Oh, I've seen those. Those are it's almost comical though.
Well, it's still creepy as hell.
Oh yeah, of course.
So,
anytime the devil makes an appearance in a movie, it's typically going to be creepy, Nick.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see this movie. It just came out. I think it hit theaters last weekend. So it's a horror comedy. So it's called Late Night with the Devil.
Late Night with the Devil. I think I've had a few of those. Were you aware in 2006, and you may want to show this picture to the onesies in the run sheet, in 2006 that a man named Alan Heckard filed a lawsuit against Michael Jordan and Nike? Now, why do you think a guy would probably sue Michael Jordan and Nike? I don't know. Maybe he bought a pair of shoes and they fell apart. Maybe the structure of the shoe wasn't what he thought it was.
Let me get this right.
No. This guy, Alan Heckard, sued Michael Jordan because he says Michael Jordan looked like him. And he was constantly getting heckled and could not live a normal life. And I love this because Alan is technically a few years older than Michael Jordan. He says Michael looks like him. He doesn't look like Michael. And tried to sue Michael Jordan for $400 million, and then Nike for an additional $400. I think for a total of $832 million. I love it. I mean, he does kind of look a little bit like him, but come on, man.
What's so bizarre to me?
How is this that disrupting
I showed the
to
audience
your life?
that for a little bit. What's so bizarre to me about those scenarios like this is I want to say like 90% of the time, someone contacts them and says like, "Hey, we could sue this guy for you."
Yeah.
Because the fact that this guy wanted to do this is either he's trying to get publicity for something else, or he like legitimately has a case, and I doubt he legitimately has a case, unless like someone shot him and said like, "Oh, I thought you were Michael Jordan."
Right. He says, I play ball and people constantly stop and look at me. I'm constantly being harassed. I should be able to enjoy my own life, but everywhere I go, people look at me and tell me I look exactly like him. I'm like, there could be worse things in life,
funny about
bro.
that scenario, though, what happens if it was reversed? So everyone's coming up to him and be like, $20.
That's what I'm saying. He's missing out on
And
an
then Michael
opportunity.
Jordan would probably sue him for
this is
impersonating
true.
him.
It's true. Maybe he is missing out on an opportunity, but I don't think Jordan would care. However, strangely enough, Alan Heckard dropped the suit, and it never actually went to court. So,
Well, it's almost like that Gwyneth Paltrow one. Remember that little case we talked about?
yeah, I
several
do
months
remember
ago?
that. Yeah, but it did go to court.
I know.
I love how she.
Well, the way they described it, her
She countersued for
leg,
$1 or
her
something?
legs wrapped around him.
His leg slid underneath hers at one point as they were coming down the slope.
Yeah, it's some weird
And he was
triangle thing going on.
15% off coupon to Goop or something. I forget what it was.
Goop, goop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Goop, goop. Well, in a somewhat related story, that guy was claiming he didn't want to look like Michael Jordan. Well, some men are wanting to look like other famous men, including David Beckham. And apparently in New York, surgeons are seeing a surge in men seeking to have their nipples reduced in size to look like David Beckham. I did not realize that David Beckham had a unique size and shape to his nipples, but apparently he has almond-shaped nipples that are desirable, and men are now getting a surgery to look like him.
Yeah,
The dude's pushing 50 years old now. I can't imagine that he's still relative, but this is a new article. This is a new phenomenon, and it's costing up to $5,000 for the procedure to perfect their pecs. So would you get some nipple surgery?
No, I'm perfect.
I don't understand the desire.
Well, I mean, you never know. You never know.
I guess, man.
Same thing with that guy suing Michael Jordan. You never know. I mean, like, might as well just... You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
This is true.
So, but, okay.
It's definitely a trend, it says. I don't know, man. Hey, have you ever seen one of those easy bake ovens?
Of course.
I never actually saw one. I've heard about this thing.
I
but
think
I've
I want to say we
never
had
seen
one because I have older sisters. So they
they probably had one. Did you
Yeah.
ever eat any of the food that
Oh,
they
yeah.
cooked? Yeah, and you were perfectly fine?
I think so.
No ill effects?
My nipples, though, never fully recovered. I'm glad we're having this conversation finally on the air. We can talk about my almond.
been bothering you this whole time, huh?
My almond-shaped nipples.
That seems weird to me. Well, apparently a mother and her daughter and husband are complaining that they got really, really sick after using an Easy Bake Oven. And when I read this article, I thought, because, maybe it's something that she made. But apparently it was all the plastics and thing from the new oven as it was heating up. Got into the food.
They probably didn't tear it off.
And yeah, it was the smell and whatnot. And they got really, really sick. There's a TikTok user named Stephanie. Basically said that her and her 3 family members were hospitalized over the weekend. This was in February. But no, I was wondering. First of all, I didn't even know that these were still around.
Oh, yeah.
And that they're still a thing, which is cool,
I
man.
want to say it was on our show. No, it wasn't. That was Chia Pets we looked up.
Yes, and
which
you couldn't
are awesome,
stop
by the way.
looking at them.
No, I looked up Easy Bake Ovens, and you can get like nice ones. And it's pretty bizarre what you can make now.
Yeah, she was trying to make a 2-layered red velvet cake.
Yeah. You can make pretzels. I think they even had like... And I got to look it up.
Well, it says after approximately 16 to 20 minutes, they realized that they went to go remove the first portion of the cake, and that it was not fully cooked, so they gave up baking altogether and didn't even really eat any of the food.
Man.
But the smell inside the house was so toxic.
Are they
They got
really
sick.
that expensive?
I don't know. How much are they? It doesn't say in this article.
So I'm at
obviously.
Walmart. I don't believe this. This is
I'm guessing, like,
$219 for...
I mean, it's an oven, dude. It's an electronic. I can't imagine it's going to be cheap. Although that does seem a little bit
Hey,
expensive.
what do you think a mini whoopie is?
I'm sorry, what's a mini whoopie?
I don't know. I'm asking you because it comes with cheese pizza, like red velvet, but then it says mini whoopie.
I'm not sure. I think I just would rather 3D print my food, man. get my kids into that rather than the easy bake.
You know, it's funny. I found a YouTube channel. It's funny you mentioned that because this YouTube channel is this guy's this chemist, and he does a lot of weird stuff with chemistry, and he's been doing this stuff for food and how to make like a pure chocolate chip cookie. Because apparently I had no idea about this. So in the cooking world, they actually make certain materials, like for example, baking chocolate. There's a company that you pay like $1,000 for baking chocolate because it's pure 100%, and they use it as to gauge what you're using in the kitchen. So it's not really meant to like
eat by itself. It's meant to be used in other things.
Yeah, well, like to gauge
Cooking
purity, to gauge purity.
Wow.
So yeah, he made a chocolate chip cookie out of the purest like flour, and I think it cost him like $8,000 just to make this one cookie because it's all.
Well, we were talking about how expensive chocolate was getting.
Yeah, and
wow.
He said it was really bland.
Oh gosh! After all that, I would have just lied.
But yeah, $219 for an easy bake.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
So you're looking at it. You are looking at it, man.
Oh, I found one that. Oh, so what it is? This comes with a lot of mixes. So like this one on Amazon's only $80, but it comes with one packet.
Okay.
So now you're getting a bunch of packets with this one.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
But again, why not just teach your kid how to bake in a real oven?
Yeah, just right. There is that as well. But just be careful out there, onesies,
Wouldn't you
with your
do
new
that?
easy bake oven.
If you had a child, I'd be like, hey.
Never had any, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, like I said, if you had a child and I wanted to teach them how to bake, because if they're already interested, and I'd be like, yeah, if you want me to buy you an easy bake, I'll teach you how to bake a real cake.
I think part of it is the fact that ovens are large, they're usually high. It can be dangerous for the kid trying to reach in and out.
So
this is a nice compact little version.
I want to create an oven that I can leave my child alone with.
I think it probably still requires some adult supervision,
then
like this
might
show.
As well just go to the real oven.
Okay. Again, I think it's to let the child feel or appear as though they're able to be more interactive. Because if depending on the age of the child, you would have to do a lot of the things for them.
Nah, man.
Right? Just say you got to open that oven yourself.
Yeah.
If you want this cake, you have
I got
to make
you
it
that
yourself.
step stool for a reason, dude.
And then they fall in.
They fall into an oven?
I mean,
that'd be powerful.
Yeah, it would be something.
And I'd be like, I'd call you immediately. I'm like, guess what happened? Almost killed my child, Andrew.
Should have gotten that.
Fell in.
Easy bake. 219 doesn't sound so bad right now.
I was wearing my solar goggles. Couldn't see anything.
All right, man. Quick hit here at the end of the show. This is a very quick hit. Were you aware that, flipping a coin is roughly 50-50 of whether or not it's going to land on heads or tails? But if you spin a brand new, clean Lincoln penny, it will fall tails up about 8 out of 10 times.
It's heavier on that side.
That is exactly right.
Because his forehead's so big.
That's exactly right. The side with Lincoln's head is a tad heavier than the other side, causing the coin's center of mass to be slightly skewed. And so the spinning coin tends to fall toward the heavier side more often, leading to significantly more tails. You know what? I like anything that leads to significantly more tail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not hard.
All right. And that is our show, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it.
I'm sorry I couldn't say in 1942 a British forest earlier. I don't know why I got tripped up on that.
It's all right, man. It's all right. Well,
I think I just read in a British forest. I'm like, no. So my apologies. Anyways. All right, last show, I guess, before the... No, we'll have one more before the eclipse, I think. But if not...
Maybe.
Enjoy those glasses. I think you should just wear them all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to wear them while I'm driving.
Awesome.
All right, man. It's good to see you.
Nice seeing you too, bud.
All right, Audience of One, don't forget to follow us on social media, Audience of One. We're here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio, irlonestar.com worldwide, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. And also, we are a nonprofit, so if you want to donate, please donate. There's a donate button, irlonestar.com/ALL. And then also, we're looking for sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye, onesies.